Well, see, that's the point. That's exactly what he wants. And a refugee is somebody who knows how to repress. You know what I mean? They trying to, you know what I mean? They trying to bring, those are the certain set of skills. Hi, welcome to Racist of the Week. I am Reese Waters. This is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can throw them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com. Today's nominee, the Trump 47 administration. Huh? No, this is not for scapegoating DEI. No, this is a whole other racism. Now, I want to take this in chronological order. It was a few weeks ago that a thread from actor and activist Wendell Pierce crossed my desk. Mass deportation of illegal immigrants is a racist purge of the Latino and Black communities. Notice no raids of the Russian community in Brighton Beach or the Irish community of Boston, where known undocumented immigrants regularly live. No European immigrant communities raided. Remember, President Clinton, President Obama, and President Biden deported more illegal immigrants than President Trump. They enforced our immigration laws better than President Trump. These raids are performative to capture the attention of his base, and rightfully so. Promise kept. But we must remember his base is supported by white supremacists and neo-Nazis. They marched in triumph in D.C. this weekend. The executive orders to dismantle the civil rights protections in government is to satisfy that part of his base. Ending OSDBU, Offices of the Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization in all government departments, ends decades of discrimination protections. This is an organized effort to eliminate all progress made in racial equity and centuries of progress. This birthright citizenship in the 14th Amendment ensured newly freed slaves their rights as citizens in 1865. Now Trump wants to eliminate that. This is an organized effort to destroy the 1965 Voting Rights Bill. They have already eliminated Section 4 that protected us from poll taxes and other tricks of voter suppression. Now they're eliminating efforts to include minority contracts in government. A business partner of mine lost his contract with the stroke of a pen this week. President Trump has halted all civil rights discrimination investigations in the Department of Justice. The police reform has been stopped as law enforcement has been given blanket immunity. Ironic, as those criminals who attacked police on January 6 were pardoned, political violence is now normalized. There are those who do not have our best interests at heart. The Black community has now been called to exercise its right of self-determination and protection. From the beginning of this country, there's an effort to marginalize and obstruct our participation in the American aesthetic. This is a call to action to protect our rights and practice radical self-care. There is blood on that ballot box. Many have died to guarantee our rights. We must fight as President Trump destroys them. Now, there is so much to respond to there. I first want to hit his allusion to the attacks on the voting rights bill, something which would coincide with something that we've seen before from the Heritage Foundation.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome. Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
Now, I next want to address what Wendell Pierce had to say about immigration. Now, I have addressed immigration and mass deportation a number of times here on this very platform.
Venezuelan Americans denounced the Trump administration and South Florida Republicans.
More than betrayed, beyond betrayed. They used us. They actually, during the campaign, and I don't want to make this political, but during the campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that it was not going to touch the documented people.
But even I have yet to draw attention to the rampant double standard that is inherent in the many stances that we have taken. And it was just a matter of time before I was confronted with it. Here was a video posted by Riley Gaines.
Just got another letter from Immigration Services. I've made a video about this before, but I'm a U.S. citizen, born and raised in Tennessee, went to college at University of Kentucky, met my husband there. He's an immigrant. He moved over to the U.S. for college on an athletic scholarship from England. We've been married almost 3 years now. We're coming up on 3 years. So you would think he is well on his way to achieving his citizenship, or at least having his green card, right? No, wrong.
Now, I didn't know who Riley Gaines was, although the name rang a bell, actually. I didn't know exactly who she was. Come to find out, she just happened to be the swimmer who was competing against a trans athlete, and that situation went viral. Now, if you're scoring at home, the requirements to become a right-wing influencer have never been lower. I thought they were bad when they tried to make a thing out of Lily Gaddis.
Okay, this time I have a beef with the male community. I give my criticisms to all because we are all about equity and inclusion here, right? So I'm sick and tired of all girls getting blamed, or like guys, certain guys, thinking that all girls are gold diggers. I don't know if it's because you get your information from those street interviews in like Miami at 3 a.m. outside of a nightclub. You're getting the opinion of some dumb whores and immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card. Yes, they are probably gold diggers, but that's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke ass.
Hey, here's your packet of qualifications to become a right-wing influencer, but you can skip all of this. If you have ever dropped ends publicly, especially if it went viral, you could just move right on to orientation. No novel thoughts on how to shrink government, how to curb defense spending, how to advance trade. No. She dropped ends publicly. Oh, well, we got to get her on the Magasphere. She gonna be the next big thing. Well, here we have dropped the requirements even lower from have you dropped ends to were you the person competing against a trans athlete? Okay, go ahead.
And why can't he get his green card? Because his medical records aren't complete. And what is missing from his medical record? The COVID vaccine. Like, it is the year 2025, and we are still requiring the COVID vaccine. You can see it right here. It's backwards. Disregard. Complete the COVID-19 vaccine. But this is what they do. This is what they do to people who do it the right way. I can't even tell you how much money, thousands of dollars, we have spent on the different forms and applications and immigration lawyers and all of the different things, all for everything to expire on their time anyways. And for all you people who say, oh, Riley, your husband's here illegally, he should be deported. Just so you don't understand immigration, he is very much here legally. There are other ways to obtain residency than a green card, like visas or advanced parole. Or those of you who say, this is what you get when you voted for Donald Trump. Obviously, my husband can't vote, but if he could, he would have voted for Donald Trump. Change is coming with the current administration, but he has to undo everything that the former administration has done to our immigration system, both legally and illegally. Oh, and when they campaigned on the tagline, my body, my choice, this is proof they never really meant that.
That is some good red meat for the base right there. Man, they rejected my green card. Yeah, no, wouldn't even let me in the building. What was their reasoning? Because I showed up in a full-body tracksuit with photos of the January 6th hostages. I wonder if Trump's going to help me out.
Cherishing the last moments with my husband before ICE apparently comes and gets him. You guys have been psychotic the past few days. I don't know, where you're getting your information, but the thousands of you that have commented that he is getting deported because he's an illegal immigrant.
I'm an alien.
I do tell him he's an alien. He's here legally. But it is amazing to see so many liberals who are now totally in favor of mass deportations and criminalizing those who harbor illegal aliens, which fortunately for us, that is not the case because he is a legal immigrant. Just say you understand nothing about the immigration system and move on.
He's here legally, huh? So were the Haitians. Yeah. So were the Haitians. They were also here legally, but nobody cared though, right? Nobody cared. You challenged the law. So you didn't have to actually deal with the fact that they were here legally. So naturally, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if I don't agree with the law, then I could challenge whether your husband is here legally, right?
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
I must have missed the video that Selena Gomez made uncontrollably sobbing when Laken Riley died. Also, she says, my people. Girl, aren't you American? Your net worth is $1.3 billion. Why don't you allow some of these illegals to live in your mansion with you? Let me show you just a few people that Selena Gomez is crying for and the crimes that they've committed in this country. Here's one, and another, and another. Seen enough yet? That's only 4 of thousands. This was the epitome of Hollywood hypocrisy and why the Democrats lost resoundingly on November 5th. While Kamala Harris was having Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion on stage with her during her campaign, Donald Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care about kissing up to these celebrities that live in their little bubble, so out of touch with the reality that so many Americans face. Because she has no real convictions, she quickly deleted that video of her crying and posted this. Again, where was that empathy for Laken Riley, who fought for 18 excruciating minutes for her life? All of this to say, remember the people who post videos of themselves uncontrollably sobbing for the criminals that are being sent back to their own countries, but stay totally silent when innocent American lives are lost to these same criminals. I'll be waiting for Selena's video, or any celebrity for that matter, showing empathy for the women who have been the hands of illegal aliens in this country, or the 300,000 plus missing children in this country who have crossed over the border, or a video where they show empathy for the parents who have lost a child to a fentanyl overdose. I won't hold my breath.
Well, I could show you more than that just from the newly released January 6th defendants. So naturally, if you're all about the safety of the country, you definitely have content denouncing their release, right? You wouldn't want them all free, right? This about safety. And certainly you would take issue with the rampant extremism that we've seen all over the country coming from these right-wing silos, right? You got content denouncing all of that? Huh? No? Oh, well then, I don't know why you were saying your people. You didn't understand what she meant by her people. You found your people. But at the end of the day, although there were a great number of videos and a ton of content dunking on Riley Gaines for the irony of her now confronting immigration issues and the leopards started to circle and all of that. I saw all of that. Before I could even respond or comment on that, I thought to myself, she gonna be all right. She gonna be all right. I posted just recently in response to the Venezuelans and saying that they felt betrayed and lied to and bamboozled by virtue of what they had been told by the Republicans, that no Black American would reasonably believe that. And here is the same litmus test. I see her complaining and boo-hooing, and I know, based on my 4 decades here in America, she gonna be all right. And guess what? She was. Here's her and her husband attending inaugural events right here in D.C.
You are the biggest agent of change in maybe the most transformational cultural issue of our time. That's a fact.
How vindicated do you feel now that the bill's passed the House and Senate?
I mean, You can't expect Donald Trump to take a firm stance when it comes to white immigration. Now, can you?
While we may never know the truth behind her journey to citizenship, it is quite apparent that when people say she came the right way, they often overlook the fact that she had significant resources and connections. The reality is that the majority of immigrants will never have access to this Einstein visa, let alone rich, power-hungry, unsanitized oranges. Because I'm not blaming her journey, but we need to understand the discrepancies in our immigration system and how all legal paths are not created equally. Just compare her journey to the reality faced by many Latin American immigrants who wait years, if not decades, just for basic working permits, not to mention the legal obstacles and financial costs. Next time someone says to you, we just want them to come the right way, I want you to remind them that the right way vastly depends on where you're coming from, what resources you have, and quite honestly, what you look like.
If Melania was not a citizen when she gave birth to Barron, what does this birthright citizenship thing do for Trump's own son? What if we thought about J.D. Vance and his wife? His wife's parents were not citizens when she was born. So is she going to be deported? Is Barron going to be deported? What does this mean for the people running our nation? Did they think it through? I just love watching things and eating my popcorn and just being a watcher. How about you? How are you feeling today?
In fact, if we really want to dig into this, we can get into Trump's existence himself.
With the immigration crisis heating up, it's worth noting President Trump's own family history. We've told you before how the president's mother, Marianne McLeod, was a poor immigrant from a remote fishing village in Scotland. And for some inexplicable reason, Trump last week claimed his father, Fred, was born in Germany.
My father is German, right? Was German. And born in a very wonderful place in Germany.
Actually, Fred Trump wasn't born in Germany. He was born in the Bronx. This is the building where Fred Trump, President Trump's father, was born back in 1905. Back then, the bustling neighborhood was filled with new immigrants from Germany, and today it is still very much a haven for immigrants. In fact, right here on the ground floor, there's a Turkish-owned store, and on the second floor, there's a party space that's popular with families from Central America. The apartments in the humble building where Fred Trump was born are now vacant office space.
We can't handle it anymore. Our country is full. Can't come in. I'm sorry.
The president caused an uproar over the weekend with his tough talk on immigration.
Yes, he said the country is full.
Yeah, he did.
So if you're pregnant,
where do I go?
Meanwhile, the old Bronx neighborhood where the president's father was born has changed a lot, but it's still home to thousands of immigrants in search of the American dream.
Now, one thing that we have seen from the Maga movement, at least at this point in 2025, they are not the least bit subtle. He doesn't even need a woman or a brown or black face to accuse something of being DEI. They are not the least bit subtle. And in this instance, with everything that I just outlined, right? In the past, we know that we're trying to lighten the cumulative shade of the United States. And we have all of these various laws and methods of doing so. But we don't want it to be too heavy-handed and obvious. Not in 2025. What we get is Trump orders U.S. to prioritize refugee resettlement of South Africans of European descent. At the same time as we are talking about how Americans are having their opportunities and jobs taken by foreigners, and we don't know who we're bringing in, and it's not safe here in America, and we need to take our country back. But the white South Africans? And by the way, this also comes after a lot of whining and crying from Elon Musk about the plight of the white South Africans. And as I have outlined here before, if I had roots in apartheid South Africa, I would probably chill when it came to issues of race, and certainly when it came to issues of geopolitical factions and power.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
I would probably just chill if I had roots in apartheid South Africa. Not only does he not chill, he amplifies anti-DEI rhetoric, which is aimed directly at us, whether or not we are the recipients or not. But of course, it's totally fine when he needs folks to throw H-1Bs at for his companies. Then it's okay. Not only does he not chill, he injects himself in these conversations, and now he wants to bring said white South Africans to the United States. I made a video not too long ago talking about Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and David Sachs and some of these guys and their roots in apartheid South Africa, with the inherent concern that it appears as if they are actually trying to import a similar kind of society. They're importing the actual people. President Trump directed government officials to prioritize the resettlement of South Africans of European descent through the U.S. refugee program, which he suspended during his first day in office. So you suspended the refugee program, and now all of a sudden you find a loophole for white South Africans, for white South because when you look at the state of the world, when you look at all the plights that are going on in various pockets of our world, even if you just look at Africa, the ones who we need to prioritize are the white South Africans. In the executive order, Trump accused the South African government of discriminating against Afrikaners, an ethnic group in South Africa made up of descendants of European colonists, mostly from the Netherlands, who first arrived there in the 1600s. Until the 1990s, white South Africans of European descent ruled South Africa, enforcing the brutal system of apartheid against the country's black majority. But Trump alleged in his order that it is white South Africans who are now the targets of oppression by the country's government, citing a law that U.S. conservatives like Trump advisor and billionaire Elon Musk have said allow racially motivated seizures of land owned by white South Africans. However, in an executive order he signed on January 20th, the president argued refugees were a strain on receiving communities and that he would only restart the refugee program if he concluded that doing so would serve the best interests of the U.S. See, he said strain, but what he really meant was stain. What he really meant was stain, because when they are dark enough, they will stain. You know what I mean? They will stain what it is landed on. Whereas the white South Africans, just it's all good. You won't even know it's there. Historically, most of those allowed into the U.S. through the refugee program have hailed from countries in Africa and Asia plagued by war, ethnic strife, or repression of minority groups, State Department figures show. We need to add to repression of minority groups to ceasing the repression of minority groups. Like when we can no longer repress, then we also then get to be refugees. The country's order also cuts off any aid or assistance to South Africa as long as it keeps its new land reform law in place. The move raises further questions about the U.S. AIDS response program, PEPFAR, which provides HIV treatment to millions of adults and hundreds of thousands of children, many in African countries. The Trump administration ordered a freeze on all foreign aid that encompassed international medical and humanitarian efforts Last weekend, the State Department issued a waiver to allow PEPFAR and some other programs to resume, but there have still been delays in distributing the aid. I'm sure there has been. Beyond the racial discrimination accusations, Trump also said South Africa had taken aggressive positions towards the United States and its allies, citing the case the country filed before the International Court of Justice, alleging that Israel was engaged in a genocide against Palestinians. It's almost like South Africa, as a country, would know and identify genocide and oppression. Maybe they have a particular sensitivity to that. Well, not us. I can tell you that. Now let's see what the South Africans had to say. Afrikaners are mostly white descendants of early Dutch and French settlers who own the majority of the country's farmland. Already, quote, if you haven't got any problems here, why would you want to go? Asked Neville van der Meer, a 78-year-old pensioner from near Cape Town. There hasn't been any really bad people taking over our land. The people are carrying on like normal, you know. What are you going to do over there? In other words, we, still the minority, possess the lion's share of the resources. So we're good. I know you were concerned that our ability to repress wasn't what it once was, but it's still pretty strong and certainly stronger than we would have over there. Well, see, that's the point. That's exactly what he wants in a refugee, is somebody who knows how to repress. You know what I mean? They trying to bring, those are the certain set of skills that we looking for over in America, is the ability to know how to repress. And quite frankly, we could probably get you one of those H-1Bs because you have special skills that are very valuable to the administration right now. The act signed by Ramaphosa seeks to address racial land ownership disparities, which have left 3/4 of privately owned land in South Africa in the hands of the white minority, by making it easier for the state to expropriate land in the public interest. White people represent 7.2% of South Africa's population of 63 million, statistics agency data shows. The data does not break down how many are Afrikaners. So if you're following, 7% of the population own 3/4 of the farmland, and that disparity is considered enough repression for us to go in and decide to open up our refugee program. And Democrats, I hope you're paying attention. I hope you're paying attention. Yeah, all that go along and get along, and we need to work together bipartisanship. Y'all see? Yeah. Y'all see all this? I need to talk to my black magas. Where my black magas? Hey, where my black magas? Y'all see this? Huh? Because you said it wasn't about race, wasn't about color. So I need y'all to make sense. Yeah. Before South Africa's independence, its British colonial rulers handed most farmland to whites. In 1950, the apartheid-era National Party seized 85% of the land, forcing 3.5 million black people from their homes. Now, if there's one thing that is very consistent, it's not the oppression that's the problem. It is seeking to address the repression. We saw that when it came to the DEI debate in Congress. So this is something that we know quite well. Remember, the only racism is anti-white racism. Remember all that?
What are you doing here?
I'm asking for clarification. If the bill the amendment that Ms. Presley is proposing suggests that we just simply acknowledge that racism exists, and the fundamental point of your legislation is to deal with reverse racism, then I should ask you, what are we doing here?
I would assume you're asking Ms. Presley the question.
No, I'm asking you.
Immigration only offers an opportunity for Afrikaners who are willing to risk potentially sacrificing their descendants' cultural identity as Afrikaners, The price for that is simply too high. Separately, the Solidarity Movement, which includes AfriForum and the Solidarity Trade Union, said it represents about 600,000 Afrikaner families and 2 million individuals expressed commitment to South Africa. We may disagree with the ANC, but we love our country. As in any community, there are individuals who wish to emigrate, but repatriation of Afrikaners as refugees is not a solution for us. Representatives of Orania, an Afrikaner-only enclave in the heart of the country, also rejected Trump's offer. Afrikaners do not want to be refugees. We love and are committed to our homeland. South Africa's land policies since the end of apartheid have never involved the forced seizure of white-owned land. So if you're scoring at home, even the white South Africans owning 75% of the farmland, even the white South Africans thought this was ridiculous. Yeah. You have gone too far for white South Africans. I can tell you this, though. They're going to make some content.
It's not going to happen. It's not around the corner. It's in the rearview mirror. We are living Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
Congratulations, Trump 47 administration. You are our racist of the weekend. And at this point, so many of those things have been given out at this early stage in this administration. I think we might go into naming rights. Yeah, I think we might have to go into naming rights at this point in time. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video and send a very special shout out to everybody who attended our last Members Only Live. Who knows how life would have turned out for me if I would have had a perm. We were celebrating hitting the 1,000 mark, and we're close to 2,000. So there's going to be a lot more where that came from. And by the way, you guys will enjoy the archive of all my past lives and videos, which is only growing. I'm also going to be rolling out some new emojis, some polls, so you guys can help me determine the direction of the channel. And if you would like to join, there is a link to membership in the description of all the videos. Now, I alluded to this a while back. Did you know that YouTube actually tells me who the most active subs are and members are on my channel? And I gotta send a shout out to y'all, because it's thanks to you guys' engagement that the content has been doing as well as it has. So I know everybody don't want their whole government out there, so I'm gonna split the difference. Shout out to Tanya S, Tyler H, Kev Z, Micah E, and Gloria B. I wouldn't be here without you guys. Also, if you guys haven't checked out my second channel, Way of Waters, I'm going to commence to posting content on there as well and talking to some folks that can hopefully help get my mind right so I can make it through the rest of 2025. We all gonna need it. Yeah, we all gonna need it.